The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
There it is. Wait a minute. No, that's wrong. There we go. Wait a minute. There we go. We're live now. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another stream, late night stream. Late-ish. The older I get, the less likely this is going to be super late. I'm just too old. I'm too old and I got to get more sleep. The only way I can function is if I get more sleep. So shout out to everyone who clearly knows that for a 40-year-old man, being up at 9:47 at night is actually an accomplishment. So, hey to everybody in the chat room. Marie on YouTube, Robert, we see you. Susan, cheers to you. Rochelle, good to see you over there on Facebook. Let's see, do we have Twitch in the house? I see we have more Facebook in the house. I see Twitter is in the house. Cheers, Betty. Cheers to you. Hello to everyone. Just looking to see if we have Twitch, because every now and then we have an issue with Twitch. Let's do this real quick. Just want to make sure that there's nothing happening. We can't party without Twitch. There we go. Okay, we have Twitches in the house. Great. Click that like, the share, and subscribe button. Donald Trump has essentially conceded. That's what I'm going to say. This is an essentially a concession. And I'm going to tell you why we need to accept it as such. Number one, first and foremost, because Donald Trump is a sociopath. And I did a whole video on it, and I hope that you would, especially those of you on Facebook, if you would take some time to watch it. It's going to premiere tonight at midnight. I would have premiered it a lot earlier, but I made a mistake and put the wrong time. So anyway, the point is that watch that video and I go into detail about it. I want to pull on your screen what Donald Trump said essentially, and why I call this essentially a concession, especially when you consider who Donald Trump is and how he actually behaves. This is Donald Trump's series of tweets. He said, "I want to thank Emily Murphy at GSA for her steadfast dedication and loyalty to our country. She has been harassed. No, she hasn't. Threatened and abused. No, she hasn't. And I don't want to see this happen to her, her family, or employees of GSA. Our case strongly continues. We will keep up the good fight, and I believe we will prevail, nevertheless, in the best interest of our country." I love his capitalization there. "I am recommending that Emily and her team do what needs to be done with regard to initial protocols and have told my team to do the same." So there you go. That's Donald Trump. That's as close as you're going to get from a concession speech from him. Accept it as such. We need to escalate it so that he understands that we're not playing with them, that we're going to accept this as his concession speech. Otherwise, Donald Trump will continue to try it. Right? I want to be sure that we understand. Otherwise, Fox News will continue to help aid and abet Donald Trump's theft of democracy. So I think we need to hold the line. I think we need to take this from him and say, okay, hey, done deal. Good man, out of here. Peace. See you later. We can't afford. We can't. We simply cannot afford to allow Donald Trump to continue to do this with a sense of, the problem is that he has a sense of grievance. And I'm going to play a clip from Tucker Carlson, and you'll see that this grievance is dangerous. It's one thing to be a sore loser. It's another thing to use your sore loser status to foment sedition. Listen to Fox News and Tucker Carlson.
Then Democrats used the coronavirus to change their system of voting. They vastly increased the number of mail-in ballots because they knew their candidates would benefit from less secure voting. And they were right. They used the courts to neutralize the Republican Party's single most effective get-out-the-vote operation, which for generations had been the National Rifle Association. Not enough has been written about this, but anyone on the ground saw it. Thanks to legal harassment from the left, the NRA played a vastly reduced role in this election, and that made a huge difference in swing states like Pennsylvania and others. But above all, Democrats harnessed the power of big tech to win this election. Virtually all news and all information in the English-speaking world travels through a single company, Google. A huge percentage of our political debates take place on Facebook and Twitter. If you use technology to censor the ideas that people are allowed to express online, ultimately you control how the population votes. And that's exactly what they did.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Actually, you know what? Let me play that last sentence.
In front of all of us, and nobody did anything about it. Dr. Robert Epstein.
He said they rigged the election in front of all of us, and nobody did anything about it. So this is dangerous, right? You're going to have a whole lot of people, 70 million Americans who voted for Donald Trump. You're going to have them saying essentially that, no, we fully expect we had this election stolen from us. That's what they're going to say. And that gives them a sense of righteous indignation. This from people who already have a oppression complex, right? They feel like everything is oppression. They feel like not being able to say Merry Christmas is oppression, right? Everything is oppression to them. And now you add on top of that the fact that over the next 4 years, all they're going to do is cry about being cheated out of this election. I believe it's going to lead to violence. Maybe not large scale violence, and gratefully and thankfully it won't be large scale violence, but this is going to push one of his supporters to do something. Over the next 4 years, we can guarantee you that somebody is going to do an act of violence in the name of Donald Trump because they think he had this election stolen from him. That's what I'm talking. That's the kind of concern that I think we should have, because while it wasn't organized enough for them to do a big violent revolution like they were talking about, like they couldn't do the second Civil War like they were talking about, but it doesn't stop one of Donald Trump's supporters from doing some one-off violence, like Kyle Rittenhouse, killing 2 people, and they raised $2 million for him so he can get out on bail, right? This is we still have a long fight ahead of us. We still have a long fight ahead of us, and there's still going to be a certain degree to which we're going to have to fight against Trumpism, even if Donald Trump is not in office. So that's it. Let's read a couple of comments and questions from you all in the chat room. That statement from Tucker was from tonight. Just so you know that he was talking about embarrassing Giuliani for not having any evidence. The thing is that Tucker cannot play the game of authenticity and truth telling, because he's made his entire brand off of lying. And now that he's at the point where he would like to just say, folks, Donald Trump lost the election, let's move on, he can't say that because he made his money off of the audience telling them what they wanted to hear. And so now, what choice does he have? He can't back away. He can't back away from the delusion that he helped create. He would lose all of his support. That would be the complete and total end of Tucker Carlson's life, of his career. It would be a complete and total end to Tucker Carlson's career if he's allowed to tell the truth at this juncture. They don't want the truth. Conservatives do not want the truth. They want the ability to say whatever they want to say, whenever they want to say it, however they want to say it, so long as it protects them from ever having to endure the discomfort and pain of growing and being wrong, right? Not being right on every single situation, but being wrong. That's a painful thing. And Republicans will do anything to avoid that pain. And so they demand the lies. They demand the echo chamber. This is a distinction that I try to make all the time. I hope people can understand why I say this. The truth of the matter is that Orwell could not imagine the fact that it wouldn't be by force through the government that the entirety of the population was brainwashed. See, in 1984, we always talk about that movie. No matter what happens, everything's compared to 1984. So let's compare. In 1984, the expectation was that there would be some future date where Big Brother, the government, would be doing the active act of brainwashing the people in order for them to amass and maintain power. Right? It's pretty standard. Pretty standard. You expect if there's going to be any brainwashing that it's going to come from the government. Wrong. The way brainwashing actually works today is that if you don't give it to Republicans, then they will find another politician who will. They'll find another media channel who will. You see how quick they'll turn on Fox News. And so now Fox News, even Donald Trump, definitely Tucker Carlson, all of these people who would like to present themselves as reasonable and rational, they're being held hostage by the monster that they helped create. Because if for 1 second Tucker Carlson ever refuses to buy into their lies, or if Tucker Carlson ever decides to tell the truth, they'll change the channel. Instead of setting an expectation like I do with you all to say, listen, I'm going to tell you the truth no matter how I see it, no matter how you see it, no matter how much we disagree, I'm going to tell you the truth. Well, I mean, and then again, he has like 3 or 4 million people watching him every night. I've got 1,000. So, you know, who's the real fool here? Who's the real fool here? All right, let's jump to this next video. Let's take a look at it, and then we'll discuss.
President-elect Joe Biden will reportedly name longtime advisor Tony Blinken as Secretary of State. He previously served as Deputy Secretary of State for President Obama. Earlier this year, Blinken spoke with the Hudson Institute about foreign policy challenges and how he views the United States' role in the world.
Simply put, the big problems that we face as a country and as a planet, whether it's climate change, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's the spread of bad weapons. To state the obvious, none of these have unilateral solutions.
After he left Obama's White House, Tony Blinken co-founded West Exec Advisors, a consulting firm which helps Silicon Valley companies pitch for Pentagon contracts. In an Intercept profile from 2018, William Hartung, an arms control expert at the Center for International Policy, said, quote, "The revolving door is a long-standing feature of the military-industrial complex, and it can lead to distorted policy decisions based on the financial interests of former government employees," unquote.
All right, so I am keeping an eye on that story. Here's my general feeling about Joe Biden and his appointees. I already have a full expectation that I'm going to have to fight them. So, you know, whoever he gets, right? We're looking at a very particular shift in this country. A very specific type of shift that's going on. And that shift is a shift in generations. Joe Biden most certainly represents the older generation. And when I say older, again, I want to make sure I'm not talking about age so much as older beliefs. Old beliefs like the way you should run a campaign is by appealing to moderate Republicans. That's a 1992 belief. That was a strategy that won in 1992. So when I say old, I don't mean age. I mean your political ideology, your political strategy, your political beliefs. And to be sure, there's a shifting that's going on generationally. Those people who buy into the third way Democrats, neoliberal, centrist version of the Democratic Party, and those people who are like, listen, if you want our votes as a working class, then you got to give us you got to give us policies that help the working class. Two distinct differences in the Democratic Party. Joe Biden represents the very end of that previous of that latter group. He represents the very end of the group that is part and parcel with the military industrial complex, with neoliberalism as an economic paradigm, with tax breaks for the rich, deregulation for Wall Street, deregulation for Silicon Valley. Like there's an entire faction of the Democratic Party that was built off of these ideas that created the exact problems that we're dealing with today. And what I'm saying is I expect fully that Joe Biden is going to pack his cabinet, and I hope to be wrong, right? This is one of those things I'm totally cool with being wrong. If I'm wrong, that means that Joe Biden is going to pick a cabinet that is going to be conducive with progress into the future. I have no expectation of that. I have every expectation that we're going to have to primary people. That we're going to have to, I mean, that's what we're literally gearing up to do. Like, we're gearing up to primary Democrats in 2022 because that is the place to put pressure on Joe Biden, number one. Number two, it is time out. I'm sorry for this idea that we need to wait our turn and get in line. It's time out for waiting our turn and getting in line. You're 40 something. Maybe you're 50. Maybe you're 35. You're old enough to be president of the United States. I'm tired of this idea that we need to simply get in line and wait our turn and respect our elders because they know what's best for us. I'm sorry. I'm 40 years old. I've got 3 children. I'm sorry. I am been married for 10 years and been in every financial bracket you can imagine except for the top 1%. I've never been rich, but I've been all kinds of poor. You cannot tell me you know what's best for me and I'm a grown ass man. You cannot tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Notwithstanding the fact that I'm probably one of the dopest people at this particular thing, this political commentary, political analysis, understanding political bullshit. Setting that aside, I'm just a grown man, just like you're a grown individual, right? A grown woman, grown man, grown gender, non-gender conforming individual. You are responsible for your own destiny. How can anybody tell us that we don't know what's best for us when the weight of the world is on our shoulders? See, when I talk about it's time for a generational shift, it seriously is. How many of you would allow your grandparents right now to dictate your future right now? And again, there is a correlation. So I'm not going to pretend as though there's no overlap with ageism. Sure, I understand there's some ageism to this. But at the end of the day, folks, the truth of the matter is it's your life. Your responsibility. You're the one with kids. You're the one with parents that you're going to have to start taking care of in the future if you're not already taking care of them. So how dare someone who does not have nearly the responsibility that you have in your middle-aged self, 40, 50, 35, 55, that whole entire age group, we are responsible for so many things and everything. Like they need our money to make this economy work, but we're still being governed by people who are governing based on 1992 instead of 2022. That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying since the responsibility falls on you, I don't care if you're 23. I see somebody said, I'm only 23 though. Yeah, I feel you. But guess what? 25 is right around the corner. Let me tell you, the first time I had an existential crisis was at 25. I'm like, holy shit, I'm 25 and I've got absolutely nothing done in my life that I wanted to have done. Look, the minute that you're responsible for yourself, you have every right to dictate to this system what you expect out of this system. And I'm sorry, Jim Clyburn just does not represent me. Jim Clyburn does not. One, because he comes from an era that is totally different than the needs of our era. I'm sorry. Listen, anybody who does not support Medicare for all does not represent Americans in 2020. 70% of Americans support Medicare for all. So you're most certainly outside of the acceptable parameters in this country. And they're willing to do so because they get money from the healthcare industry. So they have set their priorities. They have shown you what they really believe in, and what they really believe in is their bottom line. So I'm sorry for anyone who feels like, oh, they know what's best. No, they don't. Well, they know, they care more about the issue. No, they don't. They'll be gone. They'll be gone, and my grandkids should not have to deal with the decisions that were made by my grandparents. Unless it's a certifiably good decision. But we're at a critical juncture in American history. We're at a critical juncture where we have people who won't be here in 15 years telling people who are going to be here in 100 years, telling our children and our grandchildren, telling them what's best for their future. It just doesn't match. It does not overlap. It's ridiculous. So that's another reason. Never mind the fact that you're grown and you have the responsibility of birthing the children of this country, educating them, spending and consuming so that there could be an active. The responsibility falls on you. But yet and still, there's an expectation that we're just going to sit back and respect our elders. We're going to sit back and respect Nancy Pelosi. Sit back and respect James Clyburn. Sit back and respect Chuck Schumer, when they're clearly not up to the task of fighting on behalf of what we need to fight for in 2020. Every single, there's just a couple things I've been thinking about. I don't know how long I'm going to stream tonight because I feel great, but I feel great because I've gotten a lot of rest and I need to keep that habit up. Right? So I'm going to stream as long as I can. But I want to make sure we go over something here. Every single, and shout out to Jonathan, want to know if we're live. Yes, we're still very much live. If you are a good parent, you want your children to outdo you. A good father, a good mother, a good non-gender conforming individual parental unit, however the proper way to identify it. A good parental unit wants their children to overachieve and outdo them. It's only a bad parent that wants to limit their children to what's in their immediate best interest. For example, if I were to say, I am absolutely never going to do a savings account because that means that I can't party the way I want to party. I'm a bad parent because I refuse to make sacrifices in my current situation on behalf of my children's future. You can argue about the nuances of being a parent in capitalism and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. But talking about the system that we have, I won't be a good parent if I'm not preparing my children and enabling them to go further than I went. Any political party that refuses to let go of their comfort in exchange for the future of this country is the same as a bad parent. A parent who is more concerned about their own personal well-being at the expense of their children. Not to compliment. Listen, the fact that I don't get to spend a whole lot of time with my kids, like we spend way more time together now than we ever did before because of the pandemic, and that's one of the byproducts of this time that I'm come to appreciate. I've come to appreciate the fact that I can spend all kind of time with my kids. I still don't get to spend a whole lot of time with them because I'm always working. That said, everything I do is to benefit their future. I'm not making this cash at the expense of them, at the expense of their future, at the expense of their security. Democrats, I've taken a long time to set this up so that you can see it for yourself. Democrats and Republicans, quite frankly, our entire political system is built off of the idea of our parents holding on to power as long as they can. Hell, our grandparents. Dianne Feinstein is 87 years old. She legit could be my grandmother. Okay? Yeah, I mean, give or take. She could be someone in their 30s, grandmother. But you get the point. The point is that they're hanging on to power to the detriment of the next generation. And so in all this conversation about Joe Biden's administration and his picks, I have every expectation that Joe Biden is going to pick people who are more reflective of a time that they may not realize is gone. And which is why I think this is going to be one of the last administrations that are part and parcel with the military industrial complex and Wall Street from the Democratic Party, because it's just not going to fly. It's not going to fly going forward. It can't fly because people have had enough. And people know to expect better. All right, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit the subscribe button. Let's keep this going. I don't even know if I could play this clip. Let's see if I can play this clip. No, I can't. Well, that didn't help. I didn't expect you to switch. Oh, we didn't get to cover this. I know that I covered it on the news yesterday, on the breaking news yesterday, but the president of the United States has parted ways with the Kraken, Sidney Powell. Listen to her brag about her being the Kraken and then realize that she got fired.
It is indeed a very foul mess. It is farther and wider and deeper than we ever thought, but we are going to go after it, and I am going to expose every one of them. I'm going to release the Kraken.
She was fired yesterday. In fact, she was fired so hard that they distanced themselves from her, basically almost saying that they never knew her. But this is the proof from Jenna Ellis, one of Donald Trump's campaign's attorneys, saying release the Kraken. That was just a few days before she said this. Sidney Powell is practicing law on her own. She is not a member of the Trump legal team. She is also not a lawyer for the president in his personal capacity. Signed, Rudy Giuliani. So they hired and then they released the Kraken and then immediately fired the Kraken. It really strikes me as strange how you would be too far gone for Rudy Giuliani. Like, Rudy Giuliani is kind of wild. Rudy Giuliani is wild in all the things that he really believes. And so Sidney somehow is a bridge too far. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sidney is pretty wild. Let's take a listen to some of the stuff that she believes. Here's Sidney Powell.
Yes, well, he is listed as its former Admiral Peter Neffinger, or retired Admiral Peter Neffinger. He is president and on the board of directors of Smartmatic. And it just so happens he's on Mr. Biden's presidential transition team that's going to be non-existent because we're fixing to overturn the results of the election in multiple states.
What's that now?
And President Trump won by not just hundreds of thousands of votes, but by millions of votes that were.
Yeah, so that's a level of dedication. I'm familiar with this level of dedication. I am. But to go from being a fairly respected attorney to being so far gone that Rudy Giuliani, who was sweating hair dye. Somebody said yesterday he was sweating ectoplasm. Right? You've gone from being a semi-respected, attorney to being the laughingstock of the country. All for what? All for what? All for what? To defend Donald Trump and his. See, Donald Trump is the type of person that lets you go down for him, even though he's not going to go down for himself. Okay, that's what people need to understand. Donald Trump would let you go down and take the fall for him, even though he's not going to take the fall for himself. Let's listen to how wild Sidney has been.
This is stunning, heartbreaking, infuriating, and the most unpatriotic acts I can even imagine for people in this country to have participated in any way, shape, or form. And I want the American public to know right now that we will not be intimidated. American patriots are fed up with the corruption from the local level to the highest level of our government, and we are going to take this country back. We are not going to be intimidated. We are not going to back down. We are going to clean this mess up now. President Trump won by a landslide. We are going to prove it, and we are going to reclaim the United States of America.
Said, I don't know her. Sorry for that, woman. I could see her walking down the street. That's Jenna. This is Jenna who said, we don't know you, sis. Wrong one. Hang on. One more try. Let me try one more time. This is the one. The lady in the background who's smiling, Jenna Ellis, is the one who said, Sidney Powell is practicing law on her own. We do not know her. Sorry to that woman. She could be walking down the street and I wouldn't even know her. So she's been fired. Man, like that's something to really be going out that far on the limb for Donald Trump and still get fired. Let's look at one more clip of Sidney.
Standing by, member of President Trump's legal team. Sidney, welcome. And I know you've been handling a lot of the Georgia situation and Dominion, but your reaction.
It's all part of the same part and parcel of government interference in elections to make choices against the will of the people. And the will of the people in this country was that Donald Trump win in a landslide. If we can get to the bottom of it, and I am determined to do that, I think we'll find he had at least 80 million votes.
Wow. 80 million votes. She thought she would get away with that. Well, it's so hard to say goodbye to the Kraken. She's gone now. She was entertaining for the few days that she was on the screen. She really was. I really thought highly of her entertainment value. She was a great entertainer. Listen to her.
Trump has kept his promises to be the guy who is the warrior for the American people. He's been almost entirely alone in that effort, and in my point of view, he has earned the trust, at least from me, and I think trust from all of his voters, to allow you to play this game the way you see fit, to talk to the press or not talk to the press. Your job is to win a court case. Can you tell us when this is going to be filed and where it's going to be tried?
No, I can't right now. We're going to have to file several lawsuits. It's going to be in all the swing states.
She can't even tell you. She was committed, man. How are you so committed to somebody who's not that committed to you? How are you so committed to somebody that's not committed to you? Donald Trump fired her ass so quick. And you got to be a special kind of, I don't know, what is she? A special kind of sociopath to be willing to go further for the person than they're willing to go for themselves. Damn. She thought she was, did she really think she was getting her way into a second Trump administration? She thought maybe that if she did this, she would become the attorney general in the second administration. See, let me tell you something about a real sociopath. They will use people all the way to the last second. Let me tell you, man. Donald Trump is still not done using people. He's going to burn a couple more people before he retires comfortably with enough money to pay off all of his existing bills and start a media company that he doesn't have to do anything but sit back and watch it work. He's going to use people all the way till the end because that's what he does best. That's who he is. And the question is, like, how much of a moron do you have to be to go along with it? Right? How much of a moron do you have to be to go along with it and allow Donald Trump to use you to destroy you? All for what? So that you could get a shot at impressing him? Come on, folks. Come on. All right. I think this is a good spot as any to do our patron party and welcome all of our new subscribers. How about that? Let's take a quick breather and take a minute to thank the people who make this possible. Oh, yeah.
Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and get twice the content and unfiltered interviews without any of the commercial interruptions.
And here we go. At this point in every single episode, I'd like to take a minute to thank the people who make the show possible, our patrons, and our Twitch subscribers. Very special welcome to our new Twitch subscribers, Dr. Omaguric. Thank you for becoming a Twitch subscriber. Hottie Meter, thank you for giving out 50 tier 1 subscriptions. Wow. Wait a minute. Very special thank you to Hottie Meter. And very special thank you to Ellen H, Eric D, Donald D, NP, Robert E, B Hill, The Angriest Angel, Jason L, Tim M, Jacob W, Shirley B. Thank you all for becoming patrons. You too can become a part of this prestigious and prodigious patron family by going to patreon.com/The BPD Show, where you get twice the content, uncut, unfiltered interviews, none of the commercial interruptions, and you give me the ability to speak power into the powerless, whether the powerful like it or not. Yeah, you heard me?
Welcome back to the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Yep.
Visit us online at thebenjamindixonshow.com.
Yeah. Okay. All right, everybody. Yeah, so a lot of stuff to talk about. Always a lot of stuff. Some of the best things to talk about come from our patrons. We had an amazing time in the Ask Me Any Question Friday night. Shout out to all the patrons and the subscribers who came, and like we connected in a way that there's just power. There's power in conversations. I just want to put there's power in the conscious effort to understand what somebody else said. I think if you actively, and I see why you all listen to the podcast now. I see why you listen to the podcast, because active listening is like amazing. I enjoyed myself listening to you all as much as I ever do doing this show. Right. So the patrons and Twitch subscribers, Ask Me Any Question Friday night was amazing. And in 2 Fridays, I feel like somebody walked behind me. Oh, in 2 Fridays, we will be having another patron party. That's where we don't talk about anything. We just dance the entire night away for hours. You guys already know the DJ. You know my DJ is bussin'. So if you want to be a part of all that, go to patreon.com/ and get a shout out during the show, during the patron party, patreon.com/the BPD show and become a patron, or go to twitch.tv and become a subscriber. And if you are an Amazon Prime member, you can support our show without spending any money. All you have to do is donate your Amazon Prime. And it donates $5 of your Prime membership. You don't pay a dime. It takes $5 away from Jeff Bezos and sends it to us. Also, I want to welcome aboard Brian Lewis. Brian Lewis of Black and Intellectual. He has been doing some amazing work over the years, and I reached out to him. He put out his first video with us. Go and watch that video. Share it. It's not on Facebook yet, but it will be. It is on YouTube. But Brian is going to be making content with us. Rebecca Azor, she's on her way creating content on a regular basis. And of course, the guys from Clickbaity, Marcus, we just have a lot of stuff that's going on. So continue to support our work. Patreon.com/the BPD show is the number one thing that you can do. Again, on Super Chats, we're going to read as many as we can. Super Chats have not been, there was a time where Super Chats were so abundant that we couldn't even read them all in one night. We do miss those days, but, when it gets that crowded, we'll read as many as we can. Tonight, we probably could read all of them. I could probably read all the Super Chats twice. No, I'm fine. It's totally cool. Y'all better watch the videos. Even if you don't send Super Chats, y'all go watch them damn videos, watch those commercials. All right. All right, let's read a couple of comments, questions from our patrons. And as a patron, you get priority in terms of your questions. Masha, as a patron, says, can you talk about, or are you familiar with the differences between morality and ethics? People can define these things very differently, but I appreciated a distinction I heard. Morality, about conforming to societal norms. Ethics, about justice, what is actually right. I could see that definition. I want to preface anything I say with, it really depends on how you categorize morality and ethics. But if you break away the misnomers that we have, I would agree with this. Ethics is more about what is right, what is just. Morality is about, in my opinion, about your societal norms. I tend to use morality similarly to ethics, in that I seek like a universal morality. I seek truths that go beyond the pettiness of our American politics. That said, sometimes I use morality wrong in that case. But so that's why it boils down to be sure, like how a person precisely defines it, because I think people overlap their definitions a lot. Marcus C, should the Milwaukee Bucks protest? Okay. I'm sorry. I just thought it was a basketball question. I'm about to say I'm not the one to answer. about basketball. Even though I know a lot about basketball, there are just so many other people who do. But this is your real question. Marcus C. said, should the Milwaukee Bucks protest this year be exalted to the same level as the Tommy Smith and John Carlos Olympic protests in the 68 Olympics? Put the fist up. The impact of their refusal to play resulted in NBA and NFL arenas being turned into voting locations, which then resulted in thousands, if not millions, of more people voting. The election was close enough that this will very well could have made the difference in removing the tangerine tyrant. I think, Marcus, that's a fair assessment, right? You know, what I have to be careful of is making sure that I take the time to recognize what was done right, even if I have complaints about what could have been done better, right? To not make perfect the enemy of good. And in my approach to analyzing that protest at the time, I think I focused more on the fact that Barack Obama shut down the protest and got everyone back to playing basketball at a point when those young men had more power. Those young men had more power than damn near Barack Obama himself. But they exchanged their power for the chance to talk to the first black president. Now, this isn't a knock on them. It's just so that you can understand the context of my criticisms. That said, criticism aside, they did do something, and they did get something done in an election that came down super close. So you're right. You're right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it will rise to the level of the Black Power fist protests. Time will dictate that. But I think, that just goes to show you that it doesn't have to be the perfect protest in order for it to be an effective protest. Dr. Poopsicles on Twitch said the inability to think critically leads to mental slavery. Agreed. Andy from Ohio said, ha, 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 ha. Letting people who won't be here tell us what we want for our future. F out of here with that noise. Absolutely. How are we allowing people who won't even be here to survive the climate crisis? How are we letting them dictate to us climate policy? Makes absolutely no sense. Nefty Barrico said, all of this is the psychiatric illness of Trumpers, Trumper cult for the whole world to see. So sad. It really is. It really is a mess to see the condition that they're really in. And the fact that they're just so oblivious. Some of them are oblivious to the fact that they're complete and totally unimaginably lost. They're oblivious to that. They're so oblivious to the fact that they're lost that they go to bed every night thanking God that they see the light. That's how lost they are. All right, let's read some super chats. Kai Allen said, not sure if it's a concession. Sounds like mafia talk. Talking about Donald Trump. Well, it's not a genuine concession for sure. I think we should accept it as much considering who he is. And I think if we accept it as such, it also puts pressure on him beyond what he's comfortable with. He doesn't expect us to. He doesn't expect us to call him on his BS. And so if this is analogous to a concession to the rest of the world, fine, let's take it, weaponize it. Hey, it's a concession. Thank you. Now bye. But I do see what you're saying. Pimpin' Ken said, more red wine and real talk, please. Red wine and real talk. Well, the wine is gone. It's gone until I go re-up. Pimpin' Ken, we got Tanika 22 said, hey, Ben, I'm tired too, but I'm up with you. Thank you for being up with me, Tanika. Kai Allen sent another super chat saying, been meaning to say this, Ben, but your intro music and video montage gives me life. All the culture, all the black culture. Love it. Omnisaya Sphinx. Did you see the Trump Twitter on secession to Biden. Yes, that was part of the show. You sent that in early, but thank you. Natalie sent in a dancing lemon head. Looks like. Thank you, Natalie. Infinite Content said, how is that the down ballot GOP wins are legit, but the presidential results on the same ballots aren't? How, Sway? Because if logic mattered, we would be probably flying hoverboards right now. We'd be ahead of where we are, but logic doesn't matter in this timeline. Daniel Hilton said Bush was hated in 92 because of the tax raises and the recession. You gave third wave too much credit. The Republican Revolution happened in 94. The Republican Revolution happened in 94, but this, regardless of how you look at 92, the fact is that the third wave came into power, right? And they've been in power in terms of the Democratic Party since 1992. I mean, there's always generally a swing back in the midterm immediately following the election of a president. So like in 2008, you had Barack Obama. 2010, you had the swing to Paul Ryan becoming the Speaker of the House. And you had the same thing in 2002. You had in the year 2000, we had, when did we take this? Did we take the House back in 2002? I know we took the Senate back around 2006 with Harry Reid, and that gave them time in 2010 to do the Obamacare. So anyway, sorry, I just had to go play through the timeline in my head. But the point is regardless of how you would interpret it in 1992, I don't think I disagree with you totally, because you also have to throw in the part of Ross Perot. But regardless of how efficacious the third wave Democrats were in 92 on the national level, the fact is they came into power. They won, and they took over the Democratic Party like completely and finally, totally. In 88 rather, you still had the Jesse Jackson wing of the Democratic Party. Right. So it wasn't until 92 where it finally was rarely any meaningful challenge from the left. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to go into all that, but just anyway, made me think about that. Thank you for the glass of wine, Susan Dunlap. Appreciate you. Todd Tate said, run for the U.S. Senate, Ben. I even give money to your campaign. I like your YouTube channel, even though I do disagree with you sometimes as a conservative. Thank you, Todd. I'm Nasiah Sphinx sent another $5 super chat, said we all need a glass of wine after this year is done. For real. That's the realest thing ever. Dark Hood 88 said, I'm 36. Get used to the fight. Always have to fight for what's right. It's never ending. Absolutely. Sharon Middleton sent in a super chat saying, after 80, we don't want them to drive, let alone run a country. This is so true. This is so true. My mother is like 74, and she's wise enough to only drive when she needs to. She still drives, right? But if somebody can drive her, she's going to pick that. You think she's going to want to try to run the country at 74? God, I know you get wiser the older you get, but come on. Edwin James, thank you for that 5246. Forgot what that means exactly. Is that it escapes me. Jonathan Tipton Meyer says she's just some woman who came in looking for the restroom, and we thought if we gave her the mic, maybe someone would be able to help her. Talking about Sidney Powell. Okay, this is from Robin. He said, I'm used to hearing the Patron Party on podcast, which I play at 1.3 speed. It just doesn't go quite as hard watching live since it's regular speed. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not going at 1.3 speed. I can tell you that much. Dennis Coleman said, look, Ben, you better remember the little people like your Facebook viewers. We talk about, man, we here together. We going up together all the way up. Nick said, remember, Ben, we need some more super chats when you start. We send more super chats when you start cussing. You know, I don't know. I'm just not in the cussing kind of dispensation right now. I'm in a be a good, a good little Charlie Brown phase right now. Comedian, but I work for the money if I need to. If I need to, you know what I mean? Hey, we could work for it. Comedian WW says, with the presidential election over, I hope leftist content creators can shift some focus away from electoralism and towards issues affecting workers. I know it might get less clicks though. Well, you know, there's a balance, right? So the truth of the matter is we need to do what we need to do to fund our channels, period. Right? Because we can't do any meaningful work if we can't fund our channels. That said, we can do more work than fund our channels. I was talking with some of the folks we're bringing on. The truth of the matter is the stories that matter don't get the clicks 99% of the time. The stories that actually matter don't get the clicks, but we love what we do. So we do those stories. We do what we do exactly because we want to make sure that we cover the stories that need to be covered. So there's going to be a good mixture on this channel, as well as other content creators. They do it as well. But on this channel, we're going to have a good mix of doing what we know gets the clicks, because we got to pay the bills and people got to eat. And then having the freedom and the autonomy and the resources to cover the stories that need to be covered. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Hanny Smith sent in the athletic shaped pear. And torches and pitchforks told me to go feel the glass. I feel that. I hear that. All right. Yeah, you know, the Disney dad is winning right now. Disney dad is winning these days. I'm just no reason for it not to. All right, a couple more stories before we get out of here. I want to get more of your comments in. Leave more comments in the comments section. Super chats. I mean, I guess I could maybe play a little interlude here. No, I'm going to call it early tonight. We're going to do an hour. And at the end of the hour, we will call it a night. So on Twitch, I need everyone who's watching via Twitch to message my moderators and let them know where we are going. Where are we rating? Who are we rating? And remember, everyone, rating is a good thing. Rating on Twitch is good. That means we take our entire audience from here to someone else and we raid them and support them. Shout out to the 1,000 people watching on the 1,036 that are watching on YouTube. Wow. That's a lot of love. 246 who are on Facebook, 27 people on Twitter, and 100 people watching via Twitch. Shout out to every one of you. Insomniacs appreciate me. I appreciate you guys more. I love it. Brenda. Strictly Rockers, appreciate you all. I appreciate you guys allowing me doing some of these shorter episodes, because I just got to go to bed. I get to bed, I get so much more work done. There is a video premiering tonight. Please, I did it out of order. I messed up, so it's scheduled to go at midnight. I'll be asleep, but if you're up, be sure to like that video, share that video, and make sure that you subscribe. All right, that said, I'm going to give my producers a few more minutes to do the hang on. Just going to review, make sure I didn't leave any super chats out. Make sure that everyone gets the raid going. We're all set for the raid. All right. Wow, you guys really hang out. Let's see what else you're saying in the comment section. This is good, Kenny. It makes me happy to know that Trump is going to be remembered as a disgraceful, pathetic, sore loser. Good night, everybody. That's the best way to end the night. I'll see everybody tomorrow morning, bright and early.